Hey everyone, and welcome to the top malware threats of January 2025. This is presented by Casmer Labs, Cluster Security's internal threat laboratory. We have a couple strains of malware that we've identified as growing in popularity in 2025. So we're actually going to pull them up on the screen for you. We're going to show you what they look like, how to detect them, and what they would actually do if they detonated on your local machine or endpoint. My name's Connor. I'm the product manager here at Cluster Security. And I'm here with Velazar, who's a customer success manager, also here at CSS. With that being said, we're going to jump right into it here. So the top 3 malware families that we detected in January start with Snake Keylogger. This was number 1. And this is a pretty widely distributed, it's an info stealer and actually targets credentials. So think AWS login, personal sites, things like that is what it actually steals and then attempts to exfiltrate. The second was Rusty Stealer. This is a pretty potent Trojan that goes after sensitive data. So it will attempt to locate sensitive data, and then it will go ahead and try to exfiltrate that from your local machine as well. And the third one is Mirai. This is not anything super new, but it's still very popular. It's a botnet basically that targets regular IoT devices and then goes ahead and uses them to launch DDoS attacks. When we talk about common file types associated with malware, we're going to start with ELF, executable and linkable format. So that's just around 44% of cases, and they primarily affect Linux systems, so servers and other IoT devices. Going down to number 2, no surprises here, is Windows executable or EXE. So that's in 41% of cases. And again, threat to Windows users, and these are most commonly delivered by phishing, emails, or malicious downloads, things like that, social engineering as a whole. And then third is shell scripts. So those are about 9% of cases, and they can target both Linux and Mac OS users. So they're actually used to execute automation and attacks. Down at 4% and 2% of cases, respectively, are PS1 or PowerShell scripts. So, the ability to execute commands on Windows systems. And those are kind of useful for lateral movement, between networks. And then we have zip, compressed archives, think, 7-zip, WinRAR, just regular old zip files. And this is another common delivery method. And so once they're kind of unpacked, they have malicious scripts or other executables, as you can see above, kind of contained within there. So with that summary being said, I'm actually going to pass it over to Velazar. He's going to pull it up on his screen, and he's going to show you what Mirai actually looks like.
Awesome. Thank you, Connor. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And as you can see, we have a Mirai sample that we were able to acquire and scan using our solution. It was found to be infected in this case, so an identity was found on this object. And in our solution itself, we can see a little bit more information about the object. So if we look at the object, the finding, I should say, if we look at the finding, here, we can see each scanning engine is treating it a little bit differently. So Sophos and our CSS Premium engine, they were both able to find it as infected, whereas ClamAV was not. And I do want to note that using our multi-engine scanning functionality is crucial because not every scanning engine will treat a file or a virus or a piece of malware the same. Every engine has different signatures that it uses, and not all engines will have the same signatures, and not all engines will know of all of the same identities. Now, since this piece of malware has been found, what we can do in our solution is not only manage it and allow it through to the bucket or delete it, let's say, but we can also run analysis on the malware using our static and dynamic analysis functionality. This functionality is powered by the Sophos Cloud Sandbox, which we have a piece of. And what happens in the background is when you select to run analysis on a file is the file is sent to the Cloud Sandbox and analyzed. For a static analysis specifically, it's only the hash of the file that's sent over, and what will be returned is a reputation score and a virus total report with details on the finding. And you can use the virus total report to figure out how other scanning engine vendors treat this particular identity. If you wanted to find out more about the file itself and see what it's actually doing, you can also run a dynamic analysis. So when you run a dynamic analysis, what will happen is the full file will be sent to the Cloud Sandbox. It will be detonated and executed fully, and the Cloud Sandbox will attempt to run it line by line. You'll get an overview of the MITRE attack matrix as well, and what steps of the attack matrix is the file at and trying to perform. You'll also get an explanation of these steps as well. Along with that, the Cloud Sandbox will also return details on what it actually found as far as the file goes. Why is it suspicious? And it'll also run a secondary AV scan on its side to see how the Sophos signatures treat the file on their side as well. You'll see details on the specific identities that have been found by that secondary AV scan, as well as information on what IP addresses the file is trying to connect to. In a lot of cases, you can learn a lot just from this piece of information here, because you can track and trace these IP addresses to see who is the owner of them. Additionally, you'll also get an activity tree that will show you all of the different pieces that the file is trying to execute. So it might be trying to write to a directory, it might be trying to connect to an IP address, it might be trying to do some functionality, and through the activity tree, you'll be able to see what it's trying to do. So this is just an example, but each finding, each analysis will have its own activity tree.
Great. Thank you, Valazar. I hope this summary of the Mirai piece of malware was useful. We certainly think it's interesting, the two of us. So thanks everybody for tuning in. And yeah, be on the lookout. We're going to do this every month, and as soon as we detect more malicious files becoming more popular. Thanks, everyone.